I'm here to get into The Wolf of Wall Street, was directed by Martin Scorsese, released in the year 2013. And this is just a real daredevil of a project. Like one of the just insane and just out there kind of projects Martin Scorsese's ever made. It feels like his most, certainly perhaps the most hilarious. It's the king of comedy. And there's just all kinds of raw chaos happening here from start to finish as it depicts just a raw amount of decay and just downfall and characterization. It's just uniquely youthful in its sense of dark comedy, and it just has a lot of shock value. It's ultimately Scorsese's shock value kind of shock comedy project, which is quite unique, unforgettably haunting in how it's all displayed. Leonardo DiCaprio just has so much energy that it reminds me of a lot of a combination between Nicolas Cage and Klaus Kinski, and it's just madness and insanity of just conquering power, disturbing, and it's just kind of is like a very loose kind of foundation that I think Scorsese was looking at plenty with his '90s projects between crime projects between Casino and Goodfellas, and here it's just a little bit more of a just kind of like almost like more of like a comedic end of it, not as violent, but more of a raunchy than anything. This is like an extremely raunchy sort of depiction, and yeah, this is just kind of taking a lot of just inputs from all kinds of just dark comedy living throughout the 1990s. Really feels a lot like a 90s kind of sense of dark humor that Scorsese is kind of getting at here, and it's just the energy that lives in this that makes it so entertaining. It's just a wonderfully paced biopic. So many just groundbreaking scenes and moments that just really kind of just reveal sometimes just amazing, perfect cinematography. Just very much just conveys a very just a raw story. It's just very raw about every it's way and energetic to an extreme. And this kind of feels like DiCaprio successfully was out one of Scorsese's most challenging characters of all time, as well as Jonah Hill. Like, I mean, it's just all this is just really amazing. Together, Margot Robbie, Matthew McConaughey is an ultimate. Like, you barely see him, but his power, his presence is felt throughout the entire project. Like Kyle Chandler, Rob Reiner, the list goes on. Like, this is just an amazing cast, and these characters are timelessly memorable, and just it's a lot of comedic notes. It's very raunchy. It's uniquely Scorsese's in a uniquely raunchy kind of way about it, which I feel like is something of a he just made Hugo, which I think is very much like in his youthful like Hugh Pierce. I think he kind of built up that to make something maybe like he wanted to make then perhaps, and now he just kind of successfully did it in his 70s, which is so impressive. So it's just funny. It really is a funny film. It's really funny about its chaos. And it just feels like it's one of those that kind of reveals itself in so many different waves in a lot of throughout the years. I feel like when I first saw it, I was obsessed with the energy of this project. I felt like seeing this was quite a life affirming moment in a lot of ways, especially just all the discussion that happened about it for months afterwards. This is about the film to talk about for a long time. And I think that over the years, it even challenges me. It's like, well, I feel like just like with Goodfellas and Casino, it's like, wow, I really can't stand all this madness. But then there's just something here of the Russian energy that's just like how Scorsese is. It's just too fascinating, like to turn away it. And that's sort of what Scorsese sees in all this. He just, it's just completely in the moment of just raw chaos unfolding as it just happens, and just a very intense kind of like. I always see this as like a polar contrast to like a mood like how Taxi Driver is, where it's like that's a very lonely. This is like very extroverted, like very loud, like just basically characters who are obsessed with throwing a party who will never, to living an evil extent. And all of this just holds up as just and DiCaprio's greatest performances ever. So that was Jeff, certainly my favorite Jonah Hill. All this just. it just feels insane. It really is an insane film from start to finish, and in every sense of the word. That's kind of the note that it lands on a consistent tone for 3 hours, and it's a lot, but also feels strangely fast paced once you're in the moment with it. It's just it takes you through it really fast, but it's really insane how it gets there.